we are not in these jobs to be popular. We are here to do the right thing, and I will do the right thing. We must sort this thing out. Honorable members, hapa lazima tukubaliane. We have to sort this thing out. So, Golosh, I am sorting it out. That's what we are trying to do. I wish this gentleman was cooperative in the manner in which the facts are clear to him. And as I told you, Mr. Chairman, I will bring the file to you so that you peruse it yourself and see what we are talking about. It is not right that when we are trying to make a genuine effort, we are being called lords of impunity, that we are making the wrong mistakes and so on and so forth. None of these, even our colleagues in the media who are reporting this matter, none of them has gone through the facts that we are putting before them. None of them has asked the very basic questions. Now, I want to see what the Law Society of Kenya is going to do, and the judiciary, now that the officers have actually lied on oath, filed affidavits in court lying. As for the relations between us and the judiciary, I want to say this. The spokesperson for the executive branch of government by constitution and by practice is His Excellency the President. I don't have powers to be a spokesperson for the executive branch of government, but I can make this observation. From this experience and the experiences we've had in the past, we're in a unique place, and you, more than any members of parliament, because you are the security committee, need to know this. Our sector is the one that is affected most by some of the decisions that are made when they are not balanced. Why are we so bothered about the checks? The Constitution expects us to uphold checks and balances. Why are we not bothered about the balances? A clique of judicial officers, that's why I would not say, I will be very honest and say, this is not about the judiciary. It is about a clique of judicial officers who have gotten into an unholy relationship with a clique of activist lawyers and oppositionist civil society people, with the intention of humiliating the government, stalling the government, embarrassing the government, and making it impossible for the government to perform.
All right, just from the museum there, pulling some of the files from our archives as well, and Matiang'i appearing before the security committee there. Just indicative of how the government sometimes is not really working seamlessly. All the cogs are not moving in the same direction, and so the stalling of the operations of government is what is happening. And in his effort to try and clamp down on corruption as well, he indicated that he was facing some of the impediments from different facets of the government, one of them being the judiciary as well. But even as we continue, I had not given you an opportunity to talk before we go now to Kenyatta University, because now also that is another indicative place of where we can see that wheels are not moving together. We have the auditor, the Attorney General, and we have also the Vice Chancellor as well, speaking from both sides of the mouth. But I'd not given you a chance to talk about the water sector briefly.
Yeah. Dibali, you appreciate that when you talk about the sugar sector, it is all about cartels and corruption. When you talk about the water sector, it is highly palpable corruption. When you talk about KU and everywhere else, it's all about governance and management and entrenchment of cartels that are very difficult to handle within government. Now, when you talk about the water sector, which we have seen, the plan for water sector by Kenya Kwanza is so massive that it's not going to be achieved when there are saboteurs within the system. And this conflict that we've seen from Athi Water, Central Rift, variation of quotations, when you vary the designs and quotations of any project to reduce it, where are you taking the money? The fact is, without blinking an eye, and you have seen the body language of the president, when he said in Western, these people involved in corruption, they have only three options: to go to jail, leave the country, or go to heaven. That was simply to say corruption is an inherent barrier of any development program, anywhere and in all ministries. And the water sector is not an exception. And when you see the head of public service directing a parastatal to suspend an officer, and I think for the last 1 week or so, we have seen the head of public service meeting the PSS and reading the Riot Act on matters corruption. This is something that we are not going to massage simply because we want to look good before ministers or before PSS. This one is not a choice. It is not an option. We must eliminate these cartels from the ministries so that Kenyans can get services. Athi Water Services has got so many clients who deserve clean water. If we are talking about revolutionizing irrigation and building mega dams and small dams, this cannot be done when the water engineers are strategically placed, or the CEOs, to keep varying the details of the projects and keep making money. That is wrong. The projects must be delivered at the lowest cost possible, because the money that is appropriated to this project is a lot of money, it's billions of shillings. Some of them are loans. And we cannot afford to have a few individuals who are misusing their expertise and knowledge to promote corruption and frustrate implementation of the programs. We must deliver these programs. And here, there will be no choice. Anybody who must face the chopping board will go to the chopping board on account of corruption. So we cannot argue and say, oh, this is nyumba iko na kelele. If it is a matter of corruption, na nyumba iwe na kelele, so that we get rid of corruption, so be it. Right. Those who are responsible must be shown the door, so that projects can be delivered to Kenyans,
but
where
is my demarcation line as far as a public officer is concerned? Is the head of public service also usurping his powers? Or not usurping, but overplaying his hands when he's actually interfering with the affairs of the cabinet secretary to direct what the CS should be doing?
Look here, where we promote corruption is where you create fiefdoms. And you say so-and-so it has no role over this particular entity, and you argue about the control.
All right.
The head of public service is the head of public service and is responsible for the operation and conduct of all civil servants in all government departments and in the entire public service. So really we cannot question the head of public service when it takes a certain position.
Is he the appointed authority?
And by virtue of the constitution of the office and by virtue of the operations, is the overall technical supervisor of all technical operations in all ministries and state departments in government.
Okay.
And we have seen,
let me hear from
okay. The directive, the letter by the head of public service to the Athi Water has been acknowledged by the minister. The head of public service can issue a directive and the minister can actually implement. So let's not talk about semantics of who is senior and who is not. Where roles overlap. Who is in charge of technical accounting at the ministry is the PS. Who is in charge of overall supervision and administrative operation of the ministry? It is the CS.
No, we just need to know where is the reporting line, so that
overall within government in terms of technical and administration, it is the head of public service. And for purposes of knowledge of your information, the head of public service, in terms of traditions in this country, is the first person to meet the president in the morning and the last to meet the president at night. Why do you think that is so? It is for purposes of effective administration and smooth operations of government. And we are not going to engage in these arguments of who is what to defend corruption.
No, it's not about defending corruption, but it's
in any form. And what the head of public service has done is legal, is constitutional, and it is right. And is upon government officers, PSS and CSS, to implement what they've been directed to do. That is how it is.
Would you point?
And we are not creating
the
office of the head of public service today. It has been in existence.
All right. So would you point maybe from the Constitution and tell me where he gets these rights or these actually powers to fire an officer? Because this is the first time I've actually seen this in this country. Joseph Kinu was here for the longest time. I've never had Joseph Kinu.
Let me ask you one question. Let me ask you one question.
For the benefit of my education as well.
One question. Are you defending corruption? Are you trying to defend corruption by trying to go to the Constitution
to
question the authority of the head of public service?
I just need to get clarity. I'm trying to get clarity. I'm seeking information, as many Kenyans would want to know as well.
Read the executive order and the assignment of duties of the head of public service.
Yeah, could you point out for me? I don't know where it is in the Constitution. So that you can tell me.
Let me tell you, Dibal. I'm not ready to engage in semantics.
It's not a matter of semantics. These are the little things that we need to know.
No. The head of public service.
No, I'm just actually asking you.
By assignment
of
duties.
Humility and sincerity, I have no sodding idea where it is in the Constitution. Would you point it out for me?
Ask you,
what article it is? That
are you realizing
that
today that the office of the head of public service exists? Have you questioned the role of in the past? Why this office has existed? What the head of public...
No, I have no questions about the existence of this office.
When the head of public service convenes a meeting of the permanent secretaries for purposes of supervision of technical programs of the ministry, have you ever questioned where is drawing that authority?
What I want you to point it out for me from the Constitution. I've never seen it.
And where it is not even in the Constitution and the law, the president can assign through the executive order. And when you see the head of public service issuing instructions, you should know that is derived from the executive office of the president.
So it is not in the Constitution. That office is not in the Constitution. It's not a constitutional office.
There are certain things you must not have everything in the Constitution. If we are to put everything in the Constitution, the country will never be
But we have the office of the CS in the Constitution, isn't it? Don't we?
There are many offices that are created through executive order.
Mine is very pointed. The CS Water is actually a constitutional office. That's what I'm asking. Is a constitutional. Head of public office is not a constitutional office.
It's an office.
That's what I'm asking. Where do you get the authority
to question the operation of the office of the
Yes, I am.
head of public service?
I am. I'm asking where does he get
a workshop outside this shop?
He did.
I appreciate outside this shop, and I've told you
the bar.
Let me
butt in.
Could we hear from Makali? He's been fairly silent. So that I needed to be educated. That's why I'm actually here. I get education. It's on so many Kenyans. That's why I'm wondering.
And you'll get more.
Where does the CS get the power to fire?
More education from actions that you'll be seeing.
I think let's put this into context, Dibao. The truth of the matter is the office of the head of the civil service is an office which has been in this country since independence.
Yes.
What is happening is that we are seeing cracks in terms of the way it's operating. Procedurally, and I think that's what Nkar was saying earlier, if you are the head of the civil service, it is not always that you communicate direct to a PS, more so matters like what we are discussing, matters corruption. You would have a cabinet session where these things are discussed, and on the basis of that, then you have a proper way of communicating would be possibly through the CS, who is in charge of that particular ministry, and then down to the PS. I think the issue which you have seen and which makes even you ask the same questions is a situation where the head of the civil service writes directly to a board of a parastatal and tells them, please suspend so and so. Imagine all the way from State House to a board. I think it has never happened in this country in the past. Normally what would happen is you write through the CS, then the PS will be able to communicate to a CEO in a parastatal. Because parastatals are under ministries. So that the communication, in terms of the chain of communication, I think that's where the issue is. And that's why you're asking those tough questions. My friend is struggling to answer, and I don't think you'll have an answer.
I'm not struggling.
At the end of the day, I don't think you'll have an answer.
I'm not struggling.
The truth of the matter is, that office is very powerful. It coordinates government. We have seen Mudaura in that office. We have seen PS Kinywa in that office. We have seen Kimemia. And in the past, we've never seen this come to the services they are coming now. Maybe what we need to see the Kenya Kwanza government doing is improvement in terms of following the government systems. Because government, it might not be in the constitution, but the government has a way of working where systems have been developed, procedures have been developed, and what makes the government tick is the issue of adhering to those procedures and the systems. So that if it's communication, you have a very clear way of communicating. It's the same as if the president today took a call and called this commissioner you can call, but called our water engineer in Kitui and they gave instructions. You can imagine how it will look like. A water engineer in Kitui being given instruction by the president. You see, it is doable, but procedurally it will look very bad from where he sits. It's the same. So we are saying what the head of the civil service was doing might be right in terms of the content of the messaging, but I think the communication channel has issues. And if we encourage that, then what will happen is civil servants who are technical people will be scared of doing their work because you don't know what call you will get tomorrow. So it will put them in a mode where they may not be able to work freely or even advise freely, because you might be getting a call from the head of the civil service telling you pack and go. So to me, these are the issues, and if we address them properly so that you can communicate to the minister to the PS, then the PS will communicate to the board, because most boards actually are even appointed, I think, by other than the chair.
The ministers.
They are appointed by the minister. Most boards of parastatal.
Yeah.
So it looks very bad from a management issue that somebody who you have not even appointed.
You're firing. That's what I was asking. Who's the appointing authority? Is it now?
That's what I was saying.
What I was saying, we've come back to this. I was in the government. I was a PS in 2 ministries, and the communication was such that when there's something discussed at cabinet level, it will come to you through your minister. And even when your minister is going to the cabinet, the principal secretary actually will prepare documents that go. There are things like cabinet memos. So if there is a major issue, it has been discussed, you will get it. You then can get a letter which is coming from the head of civil service, but it is actually informing you of the minutes and the decisions that have been made at the cabinet level. That's how it's working. I never saw where people in lower down in boards would be fired by head of civil service. If there was a concern, it would be your minister who would say, we have a problem in this. PS, can you look at what is happening in such and such an authority? And even when they are being appointed, the PS has a lot, because the PS has the legal support to look at how is this board appointed, what does the law say, and consult with the Attorney General, and then get, so that when anything that goes through that system and gets to the cabinet, and even if it's the president, all the legal issues have been looked at. But when you are trying to fight corruption and you are using any system you feel necessary, you are actually abetting corruption, because these people will go to court and you will actually be in problem because you are not following your own process. And unless now you also want to go, it will now force you again to say, to try and force the court to implement what you said. And I can tell you that is happening. If we went in, I was going to the issue of education and COOP's admission at MTC. We have a situation like that, where the actual Attorney General has said that thing should not be done. It's being done. And that's why you are seeing in Kenyatta University, we'll come to it, where the Attorney General is certainly saying two different things positions at the same time. There is a structural problem in governance.
All right, structural problem in governance. As we wind up, can we now focus now on KU and especially what is happening in KU? Because this is issue of the power struggles on who should be running the Kenyatta University referral hospital, where we have the AG now giving a sentiment and saying we have a legal notice number 4 of 2019 that now that particular hospital is predicated on that particular legal notice. It is a parastatal. And so the issue of communication and information, does Kenyatta University have any legal standpoint to run Kenyatta University Referral Hospital as it stands right now? Because the Vice Chancellor says, according also to this particular article, that they have plans on how they can run that particular facility. The Attorney General says they have no wherewithal on running that particular referral hospital. So if it is a legal notice and this is where it's predicated on law, what prevents that to be changed so that Kenyatta University can run this particular hospital? And I think we've had also Senator Sifuna raising the questions. Why do we have a hospital within the precincts of the university, and even the students themselves, they cannot access that particular hospital? It is a teaching and a referral hospital. Even the name, university, it is a teaching and referral university hospital. So maybe I have no facts on the details of it.
Maybe I can
This was an initiative that began with Professor Olive Mugenda as a vice chancellor.
Yes.
She opted now, came out from the university, came back as the chair of this particular hospital as it stands right now. And in the aspect of corporate governance, how is that transition as well, where you can come from being the vice chancellor or even a CEO directly to the chair?
Can I give you the history?
Yeah.
Maybe
Dr. can give us the history.
I was director of medical services. Kenyatta University, headed by Professor Olive Mugenda, was keen on starting a medical school. In fact, they started admitting students on courses like diploma in HIV, and we said, no. If you're going to start a medical university, start it. She had a great idea, because what we have now, Kenyatta Hospital is actually a parastatal under the ministry. When the medical school is the university. So in that complex of the teaching hospital, you have two administrations running side by side. There is the parastatal with the ministry, and even staff are employed like that. You have the university, all the teaching and some of the labs are actually university staff. So they have to have, we have a board where they all meet, and the MOUs and so on, those kind of agreement. The same thing is applying to Moi University and the
Egerton University as well.
Egerton University. So Mugenda came with a bright idea. In many countries, there are hospitals that are university hospitals and run by universities. If you think about it, Dibal, that money is still the same. It will still come from treasury. It can go to the university, to the hospital, through even the Ministry of Education, and then to the hospital, or through the Ministry of Health and the parastatal. It's the same thing, but it's now the structuring. So it was a great idea. So when that time Professor Nyong'o was in planning, and I was director of medical services, and Professor Mugenda had this great idea that for once we are going to make history. Kenya is going to have a university teaching hospital. So we went to Japan with her, with the proposal to look from money for an organization known as Toksukai Corporation. We didn't get the money. Then later on, I think changes occurred, and Professor Ngeri became the Minister for Education. I think I was in gender, or I still was in health. So she actually approached Professor Ngeri that we want to start a hospital that is run by the university for teaching purposes. I was invited to that meeting with Professor Ngeri, and because I had agreed with the idea, I supported the idea, and we said, I think it's a great idea. Let's Kenya make a step. We have these other ones which are being run dual. Let's have one which is being run as a single entity
within the university.
So money was sought through the Ministry of Education for Kenyatta University. I think it was a loan from China. And the whole building was started as a university institution. That is why it was put in on university land. Built to completion with support from China. I think it was a loan. When 2013 I came into parliament, I was in the health committee. And this hospital was complete with all equipment but lying fallow. So at the health committee we said, no, this we have to support, and if it's going through the Committee of Education, but as health we support it. And we managed to say, okay, we can get money, 600 million to start running it as a university. Now this is the point when things started changing, because now Professor Mugenda was retiring. So the money came to the it was go to the university. And I remember we had even a meeting with people from World Bank, with Professor Wainaina, what's his name? Saying to support Kenyatta University to run a teaching hospital. And the money. We went on recess, long recess. When we came back, it was now a legal notice which you are quoting, which suddenly hived it off and made it a parastatal now under the Ministry of Health. And that is where Professor Wanaina has had a beef with it. It originally came, it was a university thing. They came to the health committee to this matter. We looked at it and we made a decision that despite the legal notice, the origin and the idea was this to be a university teaching hospital. Now, you know, Mugenda is now and I wonder how Professor Mugenda changed her mind from her original idea of giving the country a university hospital, and now is heading a parastatal which is not part of the university. And I've told her in meetings, Professor, you've changed your idea from where you are to where you are. I don't know why. So we made a determination that it should actually be the university, and there's need to relook at the legal notice. That is what a committee can do. We made our recommendations. There is a committee in Parliament known as the Implementation Committee. They took it up. The Implementation Committee also looked at it and said, from the facts available, this is a university teaching hospital. The legal notice should be actually reversed, and it goes back. Now we are still going on with it. Now I think it's with the Senate, the same thing. And you remember, the Attorney General in one of the first meetings actually went with the original idea and said this was a university teaching hospital, so it should be checked. But now
it's changed.
Something has changed, and he's saying there's a legal. True, when a legal notice has come, if you want to mark changes, you must now reverse the legal notice. So it is now really, this again, I'm coming to governance. These things should not go on. At the cabinet level, a decision should be made. And if a decision is made, another legal notice can be done. And if you're just wondering whether a university can run a teaching hospital, Professor Mugenda is running it. She was the head of the university. How suddenly, when she's not the head of the university, now it can't be run? So, new things, even if the university needs support, in my view, this country should at least have a teaching hospital run by the university. Let's see how it works. These are the great hospitals in other countries. So it is at the cabinet level, governance.
So is it governance? Is it politics?
What is happening is governance, politics and interest.
So what is the sudden turn with the Attorney General? He spoke in favor of it being with the university. Yeah. Right? He turns around. Did he not really realize that there is this legal notice?
My view is that, let me talk about my experience, the years I've lived and worked in government. When you see very senior officers make decisions that turn around, there is a higher power and consultation that has come into play. Governance, you must remove politics and interest from governance. That is how you will turn things around.
No, but we need to also interrogate the land that was also a contentious issue. That is different from the hospital.
No,
the land belongs to the university.
At the beginning, there was no issue because the hospital was known to be part of the university. So there was no problem. But now, when you have made the hospital a parastatal, but the land still meant with the university, again, governance.
Actually, now given that history by Nyekal, and I remember when I was doing my PhD, that's the time one of my supervisors was also working on the proposal for funding, because I did my PhD in Kenyatta University. So what is happening from that information and the information I have? This matter is very simple. Currently, what is happening is what happening between Nairobi University and Kenyatta Hospital, between Moi University and the hospital. That's the arrangement. So what we have done, we have just gone back to the historical model we have been using.
Yeah.
So if we want to help Kenyatta University, as we are saying, to make it a hospital belonging to the university, we just need to revoke
legal notice.
That legal notice. And it should not be difficult.
That's what I'm saying. What is so hard for the Attorney General?
The worst bit of it is students are going to other hospitals which have got lesser facilities than this top-level university, because it is not part of the university, and the arrangements,
right,
even if they are very worst.
But what we want to perceive as well is we saw the resumption of the office of a vice, Wanaina coming back to office after the court, after we know what had happened with the previous regime. We see President Ruto coming, and now all of a sudden also Wanaina is coming back. Are we seeing an intent, just a moment, are we seeing an intent where maybe what we're seeing playing out was still not really addressed, but this was the issue that was just to play to the gallery, but Wanaina is there and is facing the same problems?
There are two lands issue here.
Yeah.
One is where the hospital is sitting.
But
there's another university land which the ministry was taking to give to WHO to put
for our research. Yes.
Yeah. So again, that is actually where Wanaina got into.
Actually, the hospital land has no.
And I think
so that brought him problems.
Yes.
And now he has another problem at your hands as well.
Yes.
Okay. We hope he will not suffer the same fate he had suffered before. Let's hear from Sosion.
Yeah, Debal, I think it's good we become extremely truthful and factual. The background of the project has been outlined by Professor Nyikali, and I don't doubt. I and Makali are alumnus of KU. I was in KU other times, and now we saw this confusion at KU. The tussle over land, the president himself dissolving the university council, appointing a new one, the president himself firing the vice chancellor, and we saw Professor Wanaina shedding tears on the screens, and we saw the land question at KU to the World Bank, to World Health Organization, and another one to settle squatters. I think those were extra administrative actions that would not allow due process of public participation. But the facts that are coming out here is that the School of Medicine was an initiative proposal of the university.
That's true.
It must have gone through the Senate. If the Senate decides that we are starting the School of Law, the School of Law, once established, cannot be annexed and taken out of the university. That doesn't work. And what Kenya Kwanza administration did was to remedy the dictatorship that was applied on Kenyatta University by one, reinstating the vice chancellor. That was step one, because he made no mistake. Number two, reinstating the university council. Now there is a present challenge. And you see, let's be frank. Professor Mugenda is one of my best friends. But I think it is wrong for her to preside over any entity within Kenyatta University where she presided over as a vice chancellor, like the KU Teaching and Referral Hospital. I think she is conflicted. I would say she is conflicted. And with all this time, when the lot of simmering conflicts and confusion, she was still at the helm of the university. And going by her initial proposal, her initial proposal was that the hospital is a university hospital, teaching and referral. We have seen some of the Ivy League universities with their schools, with their university teaching and referral hospital. And the hospital is named Kenyatta University Teaching Hospital, which means it belongs to the university. I know where it is located. It's a university land. Teaching, research, and referral hospital. The origin of Kenyatta Hospital, which is a teaching hospital of University of Nairobi, is different. It was developed through a different project as a parastatal.
That's true.
And the School of Medicine was established and utilized the facility, which is not on the university land. That's a different thing. So if we are trying to format, so if tomorrow Bomet University will want to establish a school of medicine
and
teaching on their land, can you stop it? I think this is where we are going wrong. And boldly, we are going to create a challenge that is not going to be resolved tomorrow. This is a matter that must be addressed properly by government. Stick to the original project proposal of Kenyatta University, if that is what they proposed. So let them be. Let them be. Now changing the format at the moment, and I think at the earliest opportunity, Professor Mugenda should vacate any involvement with Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
Because she's conflicted.
Yeah.
And then the Attorney General cannot tell us that, of course, he has given two positions. And to me, legally speaking, the original position conforms with the project
original
proposal,
principle.
which is okay.
The new commission conformed to
the
the
new,
legal.
The new conformed to a legal notice. A legal notice can be revoked.
That's what we are saying.
There is no legal notice that cannot be revoked without consulting anybody. I've not consulted anybody, but those are my thoughts. And as a proud alumni of Kenyatta University, my strong conviction and belief is Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital reverts to Kenyatta University and be allowed to be managed professionally, because Kenyatta University is a government entity. So why are we trying to separate? What special interest? Do we have some cartels, if I may ask? Because from the previous administration.
You go back to the cartel.
Yeah. Yes, because cartels are real everywhere. Do we have some cartels who have interest in this hospital?
That's what we're asking.
And is Professor Olive Mugenda the patron of these cartels? And is she manipulating the processes around the same thing? Let us be frank, because
even if it's
right,
You are thinking logically.
So if tomorrow Karatina University starts a teaching hospital, do we tell them then, when the hospital is complete and ready, that no, this one does not belong to you? It reverts to become a parastatal and is operated outside Karatina University.
But when you're talking about the conflict of interest, I wonder, because even for the state corporations, you have the Mwongozo Code. Just as for the private listed companies as well, you have the capital markets, corporate governance codes as well. For which I think the same template is what is lifted to Mwongozo Code, which does not, I think, give leeway for you to become, just as is in the private sector, from a CEO straight to a chairman, because there's that conflict of interest. There has to be, a gap in between until you are appointed as a chairman. But straight from a vice chancellor to a chair, and then we see all this drama happening around also Kenyatta University. We need to ask her on the corporate governance issue as well that is surrounding Kenyatta University, because now, how did that transition happen? Is it admissible also within our statutes?
Let me put my thinking on it. It's not a state IC, because the problem comes at transition. One VC is going and another one is coming. The VC that is going is the originator of the idea, but the idea now belongs to the institution. Now, what I could see maybe bothered them, and I hope this is not what they thought, because now if the university remained part, or the hospital remained part of the university, and Professor Mugenda is
the vice
chair,
the chair, then she will be, and then why would there be a chair on a university thing? Their management structure would be different. Probably would get some professor, but we are it to be so. Then she would be in a position where now she will be subordinate to somebody who has just taken over.
But is there a framework that you can actually go straight? I stand to be corrected, because from the legal corporate governance, it is not advisable.
Management-wise, it's not advisable.
Dibalo, from our best practice, matters corporate governance. What happened is wrong. When you talk about corporate governance, I think it doesn't make sense that, as you were saying, you just move from being a VC to a chair of already an institution within the same university.
And yeah.
What would have happened is we should have gotten a different chair, so that you're not conflicted, as Ocean is saying. And I think, to me, anytime, I think it's like, Professor, with all due respect, our cloud, our image is all over Kenyatta University. And I think it's time she lets go, so that Kenyatta University can be independent and move. She's already a commissioner in the Judicial Service Commission. She could easily settle on that side and leave the university, be managed by different people who might come with new ideas, and they're not conflicted. Because I think, from what you are saying, this corporate governance issue is becoming tricky. And unless we address it, it is going to be very tricky. For me, the solution is revoke that legal notice and allow the university to run this hospital, so that their students can access the hospital, they can do their research, they can do all they want to do in the hospital, and then this will be a new model for us in terms of, as a country. We'll have a new model which we can now test also. We have tested this historical one, where we have Kenyatta Hospital, Nairobi University, and all that. Let's test this new model. And actually, if you look at the world, and the most developed world, the best hospitals are university hospitals. So I don't know why we are resisting.
Teaching and
I don't know why we are resisting this move. Because if it's the best model, why don't we go for it to help Kenyans?
And the person heading it, the person who originated it.
Should we someone really question the nature of the adversary role that is coming from our current Attorney General?
So
if you can actually give such adversaries based on legal notices, and the history of it.
Can I say this?
You know what? From both sides of the mouth.
Let me say. What the Attorney General is saying is this.
Just a moment. Let's hear.
What the Attorney General is saying is this. Revoke the legal notice. If you don't revoke it, it is still legal. And in fact,
what the Attorney General is saying.
That, in my mind, is the message is sending.
No, I think you're reading it the other way.
No, let me put it. What the Attorney General, the message is passing, reading it, is saying, as it is, the legal notice makes it
parastatal.
Yeah, so long as the legal notice is in place.
So
then
it's actually putting the thing back where it belongs. This is what needs in governance. What would happen? There would be a cabinet memo that would detail all the things I've said, and that would give a recommendation that will go to the cabinet. The cabinet will then make a decision. This is big enough in a country to do.
Where do we start the revoking? Where do we start the revoking of that legal notice?
It starts with the ministry, because the parastatal is now under the ministry.
Okay.
Yeah, Debal, I don't think we need...
But then you'd have to bring Ministry of
Education. We really need to use a lot of words on, and a lot of discussions on this matter of KU. This is a problem of destroying the operations of institutions and institutionalizing institutions and glorifying individuals. And it is not right. The problems of KU begins with Professor Olive Mugenda, and it ends with Professor Olive Mugenda. Being the chair of the Teaching and Referral Hospital is definitely a huge conflict of interest. We cannot expect the President of the Republic of Kenya to retire, and then after he's retired, he's appointed Minister of Internal Security. That is not possible. So if Professor Mugenda was invited by the university, by virtue of having conceptualized the project to midwife the establishment, that's a different story.
But what do you do it?
Yes, if the university can invite a former vice chancellor and give a tenor, that's a different thing. But you see, here, there is a huge conflict and big war between Professor Mugenda and Professor Wainaina. This is a war that we have, and that is not healthy for the university. And if in her capacity as the chair of the Teaching and Referral Hospital, she is conceptualizing conflicting policies that are derailing even the growth of the university and messing up the entire university, then she's losing the plot, the country is losing the plot, and nobody's saying this. And I think this is what our government should correct. Where there are extreme conflict of interest, it should be cleaned up. And to me, my friend, the Attorney General, should not find it very difficult to revoke a legal notice, normalize Kenyatta University, and the government itself, through whoever appointed the chair of KU, whether it's the Ministry of Health, should be able to appoint another chair, revert the university teaching and referral hospital to the university, and let the council determine its own administration in line with the best practices of how university hospitals are run all over the world. We have many hospitals that government can
we should be winding up
independently.
Right.
So I think this is a matter that should be, if Kenya Kwanza government really found it necessary to bring back Professor Wainaina and restore KU University Council, then everything must be restored. And KU Teaching and Referral Hospital should conform to the original proposal, the proposal as it was, and it should be supported as is. If another independent parastatal is supposed to be established, look for land.
Thank you.
And establish it.
What prevents the health committee from summoning? Will it be the CS, or how does the health committee?
No, we had summoned them.
You had summoned them.
When in the first, I think in the first term, when I was in first term, we had summoned both the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, and I think we even consulted with the committee
regarding this matter.
Regarding this matter, and that's when we made it. Then the implementation committee did it. So Parliament has finished its work. What is now remaining is for the executive to implement what Parliament has recommended.
And you recommended it should go back to the initial plan.
That is my idea.
Okay.
And let me tell you, I'm talking cabinet. When you are talking cabinet, because this involves two very huge ministries, Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health. When you have an issue like that, and it is before the cabinet, it gives both ministries to put into place. Professors can actually leave being vice chancellors and actually can run an institution on invitation, and it does work if you have the humility. So there are many ways it could be done. But I'm saying at cabinet level, a decision will be made, this can be revoked, and I don't see why not. And then we try it, we give it strength and see, does this thing work better than the others?
Thank you. Right, let's get our closing remarks, beginning with you, Dr. Makali.
Well, we are closing before discussing the issue we said we discussed, but I think I can
the issue of?
You know, you had said we need to discuss this matter of government expenditure, but we'll do it.
Oh, government expenditure. Yes. That is always
because I think that's
we can do it tomorrow.
This
still at
yeah, we can. Yeah, I think most of the senators are away.
Yeah, this is very
important.
Why don't we just agree and we can?
This is very important.
Yeah, we can have a session tomorrow. By the way,
yeah, we
discuss it.
Where we are is actually a serious problem for this country, and if we really want to improve this economy, that side, the expenditure side of the equation, must be really be looked at very keenly, and proper strategies. We come up with the proper strategies to address the matter. All said and done, Dibal, as I conclude on today's debate, I just want to say, what we have been discussing since we came into this room, the three of us, are serious governance issues in this country, and we are saying we are starting to see some cracks the way we are being governed. How I wish that the governors, those who are governing us, because as Dr. Nkaro says, Kenya Kwanza has been given the mandate by Kenyans, and then they have taken it through the shortcuts, we all say. They are now the people sitting on the steering. And we are saying how we wish that the kind of cracks we are starting to see matters governance should be addressed as soon as possible, so that we stabilize this economy and we move the country forward. We need to forget about the rare mirror. You know, I've seen now they have another catchy word that this is not a local problem; it's an international problem. So now that it is international, we can just brush it, we can cover it, no economy in this country is managed at an international level. All managements are localized. You need to localize our governance structure so that we address the issues which are actually confronting us every day. And if we do that, then the international, we call them externalities in economics. And those will always come. And there's a matter of coming with a strategy now to address them. If you assume they are problem to your local issues, you'll never move.
Thank you.
So you just need to come with a strategy to address those external factors. But governance is a key issue in this country, and we need to take over and govern that we push the country to the next level.
And the barrier to governance, not only for this government, for previous government, from 1963, is institutionalized endemic corruption that has created cartels who are very difficult to fight, and cartels who have the guts even to fight the presidency directly. And here, I urge Kenyans to support the resolve of the president when he said 3 things for corrupt individuals: jail, out of the country, or heaven. It is time we accept to fight and punish corruption if we expect to see good governance. Where there are cartels in the sugar sector, they must be smoked out. Where there is the cartels in the water sector, they must be smoked out. Where there is cartels in the education sector, we are talking about KU, it is about cartels using government, using our officers that are supposed to be accountable to the public. They must be smoked out. The cost of living is linked. It cannot only be sorted out locally, it's linked externally, but will stabilize internally if we eliminate corruption completely. Countries that have progressed have taken a resolve to fight corruption. When you take that resolve, we should not engage in arguments on what is legal and what is constitutional. We must take on corruption head on, and the president has shown the way. We must support the president on this.
I think what this country needs, Kenya Kwanza government is in charge by whatever means, is we stop focusing in politics and start focusing on governance. And in governance, let's use the law, the constitution, and let the professionals and technical people play their rightful role. It is only in that you can fight corruption.
All right.
If the cost is international, why are Kenyans flocking to Uganda and Tanzania to get fuel?
All right, good question. And it's time for me to smoke out of the studio as well, as we've had Wilson Sossion telling us it's time to smoke out the cartels as well. Thank you very much for your valid company. Always a treat having you. And yeah, let's carry on with that particular discussion of hosting you tomorrow. Of course, we normally have the senators here on Tuesday, and most of them are in Turkana, as you're aware, holding the first Mashinani parliamentary meeting down in Turkana. So we shall be also following that and putting tails on that particular story. Remember also the president will be launching the county health promoters, 100,000 of them. This will be happening from Uhuru Park today. And that is a story also that we're telling for you. Thank you for your valid company here on Standing Point or Standpoint Morning Prime. News Diary is up next.